hard to believe until you see it with your own eyes just how bad the policies of the Kamala Harris administration have been when it comes to the southern border. They started their administration. Kamala Harris came into office making promises, and she kept those promises to open the American southern border. They stopped deportations on day one. They stopped construction of the border wall on day one. We see the border wall sitting here, ready to be completed behind us, and that can't happen because of Kamala Harris's administration. They reinstated catch and release, and they stopped remain in Mexico. So all of these asylum claimants who come to our border, they can now get released into our country because they're not forced to stay in Mexico while we adjudicate their asylum claims. And we have to remember that as terrible and idiotic as these policies were, they cause real human beings to suffer. A lot of you know my story, and I have been a little kid waiting at the bedside of his mother, angry that his mom took something that she shouldn't have taken, but praying to God, please, Jesus, let her wake up. And the unfortunate truth is because of the poison that Kamala Harris has let come into this country, there are a lot of those prayers that won't be answered. There are a lot of parents that won't wake up because when you take fentanyl, you don't wake up. It takes your life. So there are a lot of kids out there who have been deprived of second chances with their moms and dads. There are a lot of moms and dads out there who will never see their kids walk down the aisle because of what Kamala Harris has unleashed at this border. The human toll of this is the thing that we cannot forget. We have got kids who can't learn in schools because their kids have been overwhelmed with migrant children who shouldn't be there. We've got hospitals where the wait times have exploded because illegal aliens are standing in front of the line of American citizens. The media needs to tell the truth, and Kamala Harris needs to change course on this crazy border mess, or the people who suffer the most are the people who can least afford to suffer. Now, I've heard so many stories just in the last half hour of how these guys have failed the American people and especially failed our children. But I want to introduce some of the people who are fighting this day in and day out, and some of them I'm sure can tell you some stories. And it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable what we're letting happen at this southern border, and we're letting it happen because Kamala Harris refuses to do her job. What President Trump and I promise to the American people is very simple. This is not rocket science. It is not hard to secure the southern border. You just have to reimplement some common sense policies. You've got to reimplement remain in Mexico. You've got to stop catch and release. You've got to force the asylum seekers to stay in Mexico while their claims are being adjudicated. And you've got to finish this border wall and reimplement deportations. If people can come into this country and they know they're never going to be deported, you effectively have an open border. That's what Kamala Harris promised. That's what Kamala Harris did. And Donald Trump and I promised to do exactly the opposite.